Okay, well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our Q&A session. I know that I threw a lot at everybody during the visibility formula workshop, so I wanted to come in and answer some questions, questions that have come up a lot, questions about implementing the visibility formula, questions about the EntreMD Business School. So we are going to use the chat. So if you have questions, you can go ahead, post those in the chat. And I'll start with a few that have come up quite a number of times, and then I'll get to the ones in the chat. And Makita, if you have any for me, you can just post those here. So if you're here, say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. I was talking to somebody who is in New Hampshire, New Mexico. I'm not sure where she is. And she's like, it's 40 degrees. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, 77 degrees, and I'm out walking. I tried to be nice, but I had to throw that in there. Dr. Reed, hi, joining us from Hawaii. I have to get to Hawaii. I have to figure that out. Maybe we'll do a little meetup there. Okay. So I want to be she said yes, yeah, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I am going to get into this. And I'm going to start off with questions that have come up a number of times. Again, if you have questions, post those in the group. Hi, Dr. Paul. Hello. Okay. So first of all, I'm gonna start off by recapping a little bit about what we did in Visibility Formula Workshop. Now, the Visibility Formula Workshop, I love it because it's something that is simple. It is something that doctors can implement to own their brands, own their businesses, 10x their visibility. And as we talked about during the Visibility Formula, everything starts from visibility, right? If nobody can find you, they can't know you, they can't know, like, and trust you. And that is the currency for business. That's a currency for a very successful business. And so we talked about that, and really that is to give everybody a blueprint. Okay, so we talked about getting known for what you do, how to amplify your message. We talked about even, like how to get clients to jump at the opportunity to work with you. We talked about how to build a system so you can get your time back. We talked about batching. We talked about delegation, all of those things. The replays are still there. They're going to be up till Wednesday. And so if you haven't had an opportunity to catch that, I want you to really treat it like you paid $5,000 for the workshop, and then just go and do the content that way and implement and all of those things. So we did that. And then we talked about the EntreMD Business School. And the reason why we talk about that is because there are many things that we know to do, but we still need a container. We still need an environment. We need an environment where we can thrive. And that is what the EntreMD Business School is. When I started out as an entrepreneur, I was super shy. You hear me talk about this all the time. Super shy, socially awkward, introverted introvert. I was not going to speak. I was not going to network. I was not going to ask people to work with me. Definitely not going to talk about money. I was ashamed of my ideas because I'm like, they can't be any good. I thought, I'm a doctor. I'm not an entrepreneur. So a lot of the things people talk about, I get it, right? And in building the EntreMD Business School, just building something that is an incubator and is an accelerator that you can put doctors in, and it can pull out all the greatness that you have inside of you, your ideas, the big goals, all of those, because we can hit those. We can hit those. Now let me just stop. I'm just excited, right? Because in the last 24 hours, I've had two doctors. So Dr. Millhouse, she's posted this publicly, so I can talk about it. She has a show on TLC that is starting, I think April 5th or something like that. And I mean, to think that a doctor who was in a job, wasn't quite sure, like maybe private practice is dead, don't know if I can own my voice. For her to go on and do that is just mind boggling. And then I had another doctor who's like, I'm just sharing this with you, but I just crossed the 7-figure mark in my business. Her business is like 14 months old. And I'm not saying everybody's going to do that in 14 months. I'm just saying it is an incubator where dreams do come true. And it's not a cliche thing. It's like you can have that. So literally the EntreMD Business School, I built what I would have needed. I built all the elements that helped me thrive as an entrepreneur, right? And so that's what the school is all about. It's that kind of incubator. So if you're here and you have, a business that maybe you've been in cruise control, right? And you're like, I want to do it big. That's the place for you. if you're like, I've been running around with these ideas and I've not implemented them, like I can't implement them, then that's what the school is there for. And so we've had a lot of questions about, okay, so who does the school work for, right? Who does the school work for? Who is best suited to thrive in the school? And this is something Makita will tell you. We've studied the students a lot. We're like, okay, all these people who are getting, what are they doing? We've studied it. And we've had over 200 doctors go through the school. The school has been there for, in July, it will be 3 years, right? So we have a lot of data to go off of. And so we started putting that together, like what makes the doctors thrive? And we started thinking, is it the kind of business they have? And we found out it's not. We're like, even, is it even the stage of the business? So maybe they're not newbies, maybe they've done their first 400,000 or whatever. Not quite. Like we really started studying that. And these are the things that we came up with. Dr. Oluyemisi is here. Big shout out to her. She's one of the rock star docs in the EntreMD Business School. And so we looked at what makes them thrive. Okay, so the first thing is that they're committed. They're committed to their goals, and they're committed to doing the work. They're committed to doing, like, I know I'm gonna be shown a lot of frameworks and all of these things. I am going to do the work. And so regardless of if you're coming to the EntreMD Business School or not, I'm gonna ask this question. You can post the answer in the chat. Are you committed to your goals? EBS or not? Are you like, I'm a physician, I'm becoming a physician entrepreneur, or I'm a physician entrepreneur, and I am going to achieve my goals. They're not just going to be cute things that I write on my dry erase board. They're not going to be cute things I put on a vision board. I'm committed. If you are, type in the chat. Let me know. Like, I am committed. I am committed. Dr. Oluyemisi, I know you're committed. I know you're committed. So let me know in the chat. I'm committed, right? I'm committed. So the first thing we notice, they're committed to their goals. They're committed to doing the work, and they are coachable, right? I talk about Dr. Karen Kaufman all the time. Dr. Karen Kaufman, I think, is probably going to be going soon to her third year in the school, I believe, or so. But she has built a phenomenal practice. She started without a practice. She didn't have the practice when she started the business school. But she was like, I need a mentor. I see that Dr. Una has done what I want, what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, show me the way. And there's so many things that were new, so many things that are different. In the EntreMD Business School, we do things in a non-traditional way as well. And she would embrace them. She's like, okay, let me do that. Let me go try that. Let me adopt this, right? And so she was so coachable. And because of that, in her first, like, she's 2 years in practice, 3,200 patients, like totally killing it, like completely killing it. She started with a wait list of 350 people before she opened her doors. On day one, she had 270 patients on the schedule. First day, she had 16 patients, hadn't slowed down since, but she was coachable. Okay, so committed to doing the goals, committed to doing the work, coachable, and they don't give excuses. And when I say don't give excuses, I don't mean they're doing things at 100%. I mean the things that need to be done get done. And so I'm going to give a big shout out to Dr. Rebecca Barron. She is a rock star DPC doc, and she had a little baby when she joined. And the time when we have our calls, that was time when she's settling her kids in. She doesn't come on the live calls. But guess what she does? She has a schedule every Thursday. She watches the replay. She gets the work done. That's what I mean by no excuses. Like, she decides, I am getting the work done, right? So that's the next thing we did. The other thing we notice is that there are people who stay in conversation, right? And so what that means is when there are wins, they share the wins. When there are trials, they share the trials. When they're struggling, they share the struggle. Like, they're open so that way they can be helped. Okay, so there are people who stay in conversation. There are people who embrace discomfort. Okay, so Dr. Oluyemisi, a video is just in front of me, so I'll probably be calling your name a lot, but she's here. EBS is all about discomfort. It's all about doing things you haven't done before or doing it in a way you haven't done before. But we all embrace it. I do things that are uncomfortable all the time. You listen to the podcast, you hear me talk about it all the time. And so they're not trying to fight for their comfort zone. They have discomfort. They're asking for help, but they're sitting in the discomfort and doing different things. Okay. Now, this is important whether you're coming to the business school or not. So let me know in the chat, are you choosing to embrace discomfort, right? Because the comfort zone is where great dreams go to die. There's nothing magical that happens in the comfort zone, right? So if you're embracing discomfort, I want you to type in the chat, like me, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Embrace the discomfort. You will see Dr. Beckford. She is the success mentor in the EntreMD Business School. She's a rock star on stage. But when she did, I don't know, Makita, if you remember this, when she did her first Facebook Live, and she's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to go do my first Facebook Live. I'm so nervous. And everybody in the group comes out and like, don't worry, we're behind you. You got this and all of that. Like we just live in the discomfort. Like it is what it is. We just sit there. We've become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And that's something that's learned, you know? And then the final thing I notice is they engage in the program. So in the EntreMD Business School, we have different elements that are just designed to give you results. Okay, so we have our weekly live sessions, which is usually a group session with me. So in this kind of setting, there's the success groups, which, oh my goodness, like I think, Makita, we might do this. I think we might need to get Dr. Beckford to come and talk about the success groups and all of those, because it's all about implementation. So the kinds of wins. So there are people who are like, I made more this quarter than all of 2022. And the most critical thing that has affected our growth came from the success group. I was like, they don't need me. I'm kidding. But do you see what I'm saying? Like there's all this magic happening in different, so that we have the success groups there. We have the the Facebook group. We have a whole community. Now, if you were here when Makita interviewed some of the doctors from the school, Dr. Emeko Bidi, Dr. Who else did you have? You had Dr. Panico, right? You had, where are you? Oh, there you are. You had Dr. Panico, you had Dr. Diana, and you had Dr. Funke. Those were the four?
Yes, I had four.
Yeah, you had four. Okay. So when you look at four of them, I want you to imagine 100 people like that in one place, right? And so the network is so rich, right? And when I say rich, I don't just mean dollars. I'm talking about experience. I'm talking about expertise. I'm talking about the connections they have. I'm talking about the doors they can open for you. Like I want you to imagine being in that space and not taking advantage of the community. Oh my goodness, right? And so it's like these people choose to engage. They engage with the calls, they engage with the success group, they engage with the community. The people who choose to do stuff like this, they thrive. And sometimes people are like, I don't know if I can do all the work. You will hear every single person say, I don't do up to 10%. For some reason, 10% and 30% are the two numbers that always come up. I don't know what happened to 20 and 50, but I don't do up to 10% of what Dr. Una says. I don't do up to 30% of what Dr. Una says. But the 10 to 30% is enough to give you the result. Do you see what I mean? So those are the kinds of people who thrive and thrive and thrive and thrive in the school. So really, if it's something that you're thinking about, first of all, I'm going to say turn in an application. And, Makita has gotten on calls with everybody who has filled out an application, who scheduled a call with her. The application is not designed to keep you out. Okay, so let me say that very clearly. It's not designed to keep you out. The application is designed to see if this is the best fit for you. And if it is not, we will point you in the right direction. I am here to serve physicians. Makita is here to serve physicians. This is not like your med school application. This is not like your residency application. This is not like the match. Everybody gets in. Okay, we have 100%. Makita, our acceptance rate is 100%. Okay, that's the way this works. But we will take care of you. That's what we want to do. Okay, so that's That's basically the answer to that question. That's a long answer, but that's the answer. Um, Dr. Lee Emisi says, I gave fear a non-voting seat on the board. Feel the fear and still go on. Yes, 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 yes. I can't even say that any better. And she got invited to speak on a major webinar. Okay, Dr. Lee Emisi. And Makita, Dr. Oli Emisi needs to be on the Doctors Changing Medicine podcast. So I'll let you guys connect then. Because what she does is ridiculous. I had no idea until she posted her thing. I was like, wait, what? Okay. All right, so let's answer some questions here. If you have any questions, I want you to post them in the chat, okay? All right, so these are the questions I'm answering are questions that have come up as Makita has spoken to doctors. How will my unique business get the help it needs since there's so many different types of businesses in the school? Okay, so one of the things I could have done in setting up the EntreMD Business School is I could have made it all private practice. I could have made it all coaches and all of that. But one of the things that have helped me be so innovative as an entrepreneur is that I am in the room with all kinds of businesses. So a lot of time innovation is not really doing something new, it's taking something that works in one industry and bringing it into your own industry. So in the EntreMD Business School, you have physicians in private practice taking things that coaches are doing and implementing in their private practice, which is now called innovation. Do you see what I'm saying? And so it would be a disservice for everybody to be the same kind of business. So that is intentional so that you have a broader range of experiences, a broader range of connections, a broader range of ideas, okay? Where you see people who don't know your industry, so they're not doing the cookie cutter thing, and they're like, why do you do that? Like, you can do it this way, it's more efficient, right? So it's intentional. So how do all the businesses thrive? Because what we do in the business school is we help you build a business system. Okay, no matter what type of business you have, you're going to have to figure out the marketing, you're going to have to figure out the sales, you're going to have to figure out how to create repeat customers, you're going to have to understand numbers, you're going to have to get the mindset of a physician entrepreneur, you're going to have to build a team, you're going to have to run meetings, you're going to have to build, automation. So this is something that cuts across business types. Okay, so I have a private practice, I have an education business, which is EntreMD. I have a marketing agency. These are 3 different kinds of businesses. And for all 3, and a nonprofit, so that's not a business, but run a nonprofit. And all 4 of these need business systems. Okay, so it doesn't, the type of business doesn't matter. In fact, we did a survey. And so we have the private practice, we have the DPC, we have the speakers, the course creators, consultants. Who else did I leave out? Other service-based businesses, like you saw Dr. Signorelli. So all those kind of businesses are represented there. Okay. Someone said, I just started. Is this the right time to join? So I've talked about this a little bit. I've looked into it. Nikita and I, we've done a lot of research on this stuff. If you have started and you are committed, you're like, I am going to do the work, I'm going to be uncomfortable, I'm going to be coachable, then it is the right time for you, right? It is the right time for you to join. A lot of the people you see, like Dr. Panico, who shared her story yesterday, she did not have a bit. She was working a job. She did not have a business when she started. Dr. Tolu, who built a private practice panel of 4,000 people, 4,000 patients in 18 months. She did not have a business when she started. Dr. Let me see, when did you set up your egg bank? I knew you had the business, but here.
Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, so I was struggling. I've been in practice for 20 something years and struggling. And we had a lot of patients that needed donor eggs, Africans, Indians. And I would keep sending them to different egg banks. And they would have to wait and wait. And when we finally got eggs, we would get poor quality eggs. And then one day I said to myself, this is madness. I'm sending all my top quality patients. They can't even find good quality eggs. Why? So I took my office manager and my patient coordinator. They didn't even have the money. We went to an egg donor conference in Charlotte, South Carolina. And I did it completely through fear. I didn't know how we were going to pay for it, but we paid for it. And there we met all these doctors that were like, yeah, this is how you do it. And the person who created the database for one of the largest egg bank was there. And he said, you can do it. And I'm like, are you sure? I mean, I am scared. So my office manager said, we can do it. And I said, look, if this thing tanks, I'm going to kill you, you know? But so we did it. And, they helped us launch the website. They helped us launch the ad for it, which they don't do. We got flooded with I'm over 300 applicants, over 80 people looking for donors. I don't even have the staff to quickly go through and sort them out. And we found out quickly we had a lot of patients that needed egg donors that we provide. And when you look at the other egg banks, they don't have that many, diverse egg donors. So we fulfill that need. Now we grew so fast. So the next hurdle is, how do we get better? How do we create the systems that Dr. Una is talking about? And I just interviewed someone who can do billing and revenue management. Dr. Una says, go get references. I called her references. Would you hire her again? They go, we love her. We take her in we invited her to come work with us for 2 days and see if we liked her and she liked us. And we're still keeping that conversation going. And she looked at our systems and go, we can make you more efficient. I can see where you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I am so excited. And in the midst of this, I had seen Dr. Una's EBS school when she first opened it, didn't sign on, did not. Then I saw this Dr. Rubin or something who said she opened, Instagram went to 10,000 in how long? And a full panel. I said, what? So I direct message, I said, who is your coach? She goes, Dr. Una. I said, Una who? Una Chuku. Are you kidding me? So I started looking at all the podcasts, guzzling it up. I put in my application right away. She responded graciously and sent me so many. I think for that 1 week, I had her podcast on 1.5 speed because I couldn't listen fast enough. I think I listened continuously for like 5 days. And I still felt fear. And when they said, well, just keep doing it. And then Dr. Toomer came and said, look, I was just tired of being afraid. So I just decided I'm just going to do the formula. Forget fear. Just do what they tell you and see what happens. And then she got how many people on TikTok? I mean, so I said, you know what? I'm going to do everything they're saying. Whether or not, I'm waiting for some miracle or whatever, I'm just going to do it. And it's slowly panning out, slowly turning things around. Mark you, I'd been in practice for 20 some years and I had gone up and I was on the downswing. And Dr. Una said something. She said, look, even if you're going to sell your practice, don't just abandon it. Don't just, throw it away, build it up to something. And then it may be worth something. And then you may find that you actually like it. So, because I wanted to take the easy way out. I was looking for, which I said I would never do. I invited a venture capital. And then I started talking there was another doctor I'm trying to get to come in to the business school. She told me she burnt out within 2 years after her practice was bought by a venture capitalist. She was at home, mentally shattered, could not work. And she started her practice slowly again. And she told me, she said, this is it. If this doesn't work, I'm done. I'm going to go open a McDonald's or something. So I'm trying to get her to come in. And then I talked to another vein doctor who came to lease space in my office. He had sold his practice to Vein Clinics of America. And the woeful stories he told me, he said, don't do it. They're going to use you up. They're going to chew you. They're going to spit you out. It's all about money. So that gave me pause. And I said, okay, I need to learn how to do this. And then I joined the success group and I'm getting ideas. Guys, if you do this, go to the success groups because that's where you meet one-on-one with individuals who are struggling every step of the way, and they tell you how they do it. And guess what? You may also have ideas that may help someone. So it's a win-win. You can't lose. I mean, I wish I had joined way back when. I probably would have gotten further now, but it's okay. It's okay. I joined when I did. And now I'm trying to say, look, can I be one of those kids that never graduate college? I'll just sit right here, okay?
We already have a hashtag going, EBS for life. I was like, oh, okay, that's the hashtag we're using. Okay, good. So
So yes.
I'm glad that you brought up. So thank you for, and this is impromptu, right? Like it's not, like thank you for bringing up the part of the fear. And I was telling Makita yesterday, I was like, I hate fear. I even did a post in the group, right? I hate fear because what it did to me was that I felt crippled, right? I was afraid of putting myself out there. I was afraid of speaking. I was afraid of owning my business ideas. I was afraid of owning my voice. And I'm like, we're burning daylight. This is not the rehearsal. This is a life, right? And I'm grateful that when I had the opportunity to invest in myself, for some reason, I didn't let fear stop me then. And it made me realize how much you can change in a year, how much you can change in 6 months, how much you can change in 3 years. And so you talked about it graciously, like the fear that you felt and you still feel, and you're like, fear has a non-voting seat. Like you can stay there since you don't want to go away, but I'm not going to stop because of you. So there's somebody here who, this is not somebody we're trying to convince. This is somebody who's like, I know the school is for me. I know this is what I've been looking for. I know this is where I need to be, but they're afraid, right? So you've been there. What would you just talk to that person? Oh, hang on. Do I need to unmute you? Hang on 1 second. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I am muted when you speak. Look, we do something called Book of the Month Club, and I put mine on Audible because by the time I go to and fro work, I can finish a whole book in 2, 3 days, done flat. And so we do Book of the Month. These books tell you about people in other industries. The one I'm reading now is called The Pumpkin.
Pumpkin Plan.
Thank you. And he says, how can you grow the biggest, fattest pumpkin? What do you do to grow the best ever pumpkin? Think, practice, or whatever it is you're doing. And they talk about this theory about cutting out all the useless tiny pumpkinlets that are not growing. And I thought, all the patients that give me, a heart attack and don't pay their bills, insurance doesn't pay us. I'm like, let's get rid of them. Let me focus. I'm not bragging here. I don't know how this woman found me. Her husband is a player on the NBA. I'm going to try and move to where there's more light. Her husband is a player on the NBA, and she came to my practice. I'm like, why are you not with those big shishi poo poo practices? Why are you coming to me? And she said, something about you spoke to me. And she came to my practice. We had a good time. Guess what? This woman, I said, look, here's how much it's going to cost. I didn't charge her extra. They go, where's your bank account? We're wiring it. I'm like, hello? You need this extra. Here's how much it'll cost. Oh yeah, I just called my manager. He just sent that to your bank account. I'm like, hello? I'm like, where do I find more of you? I'm like, well, they don't argue. We pamper them. We respected her privacy because of who her husband is. I don't play basketball. I don't know. Everyone in my office knew them, but I had to protect their privacy. So we brought them when the office was empty. We brought them on weekends, on night times. And I told her I was doing that because she put her trust in me. It wasn't about the money. And I have to respect it and rise up to it. So, when you're doing things like that and you're reading the books that are being assigned, I read another one, the guy that wrote Atomic Habits, Atomic Morning. I mean, just keep reading the books and broaden your mind. We're used to reading articles. I still do. I put all my articles on Voice Dream, and I just play everything back to me. But the books that they assign, there's value to them. And some of these books I've already read previously. I go back and read them again and said, what is the value that I need to pull out? And guess what? I'm reading the books. I'm talking to my kids about the books, sharing the message I'm learning. If you go to my office right now, they go, Dr. Fama, you're about to start your class. I'm like, yeah, they know that Wednesday afternoon, don't disturb me. I don't even go home. I stay in the office, I do my class, and I learn, and then I talk to my staff. Guess what? My physician coach said, this is what we should be doing. So we took an idea they gave us about putting all the referral cards of physicians that we refer to on a piece of paper. So instead of when I need to refer to an oncologist, we're opening drawers trying to look for their cards. No, everything is on that piece of paper. We just circle the physician we need and hand it over. We shave 5 minutes off each time. I learned that from Dr. Una, so little things that you pick up translates into money in your pocket. And then by interacting with people in the school, I found how to get my virtual assistant, $9.50. Can you beat that? You can't. When I'm dictating now, I make sure she understands English. I just say, listen to this. You got to capture this note. It has to be done before I get up. Record it. And I tell her what I want. I look, the note's done. I have another virtual assistant, $8. She does my social media. I just called her up. I said, look, this thing you're doing, here's how you're going to improve it. Go back to all my YouTube, create reels, because I can't be dying creating content every weekend. And she said, yes, I'm going to do that. So where did I get this idea from? It didn't come from me. It came from, by the way, the visibility workshop we all did. And I already took steps. The minute I learn something, I do it. I don't wait. I do it right away. I do it right away because I want my freedom. Look, the people that created donor egg banks, some of these big egg banks, I was there when they started from nothing. I'm like, why can't I be that person? Why can't I be that egg bank owner who leverages it out and then it's traded on Wall Street? Who knows what it is? But why can't I be that person? And then Dr. Una said one thing, because I go to conferences and oh my gosh, I'm so intimidated. I want to just hide and I have no confidence whatsoever. I'm like a mouse. And sometimes when you do that, people insult you because they think you're not smart. But I know I am. I know I am. I've done benchside research. I was at NIH for years. I did publications. I write, I teach, I mentor. So I know I'm smart. And then why am I feeling this way? But then she said something. She said, why don't you flip it around? And said, you know what? I'm one of them. Doggone it, I'm one of them. Why, I don't care who they are. I'm one of them. So my confidence went up. I am one of them. I'm not going to let them intimidate me anymore because I know my stuff. I know I've read my stuff. I read articles, I stay on top of it. And I look at some of the things people are doing in the field nowadays because it's been so commercialized. There's so many mistakes and accidents happening. And I'm like, I know I do a good job. I know I practice safe medicine. I know the patients never have to worry about me jabbing their aorta with a needle. I had a patient that went to a major university system. They did an egg retrieval. She had an 11-centimeter hematoma in front of her uterus and another 10-centimeter one behind her. And she was about to pass out. She went, they scanned. Oh yeah, you have it. It'll resolve. And they never saw her again. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I would be visiting her in the hospital. I would be scanning her. What happened to standard of care? What happened, right? Venture capital happened. That's what happened. So I know I'm doing a good job. I know I'm smart. And I need to let people know that. Now, if you read my reviews, and I'm not bragging, I give my all to my patients because I want them to be treated the way I want to be treated, the way I want my family to be treated. And I need people to know that. And I deserve to be paid for that. I don't deserve to be haggling with United over $50 or $100. It doesn't pay my time, you see. And then I'm hiring this other person who told me I'm not charging enough. So I'm actually this weekend, I was actually going to do that until I saw this email from Dr. Una saying that they have an impromptu thing. I was actually going to start typing all the things I need her to do, the things we need to turn around. And I'm going to type that, and I was going to make a bullet point for my major webinar. Guess what? They called me to give a talk sponsored by Boston IVF. Okay, let me give you a little intro. Boston IVF, in case you guys don't know, that's the IVF branch for Harvard. They call me to talk. I'm like, hello, hello.
I didn't know it was Harvard. Look at you
Boston
doing all the
IVF.
things.
You know how I found the link? When I did an ABS class one day, and they said, go out and look for podcasts. I said, what? How am I going to find a podcast? So I was on Instagram, and I noticed my daughter's dentist was invited to a medical thingamajiggy in Columbia, Maryland. So I didn't call her. I called the person that was holding it. And she said, she asked me what I do. And I told her, she said, we need you, come. I said, she said, we planned this a year ago, so we can't put your name on the, we'll put your name, we'll get you a table, I want you to speak. So I went there. From that one speech, I got invited to 2 different podcasts. Then she calls me up. She goes, we hold a webinar every year for Fertility Week. Would you like to join? I'm like, yeah. It turned out to be this thing hosted by Boston IVF. Yeah, I want to join. Are you kidding me? And then there was another, there's this female pastor that does fertility for colored girls. And they would host a whole shindig in different fertility clinics. And they do a raffle where they give away one IVF cycle. So one of my friends in Atlanta, she did this thing. She said, I'm like, how can you give away an IVF cycle? This thing costs money. And then she put a little tidbit sponsored by Fertility for Colored Girls. I'm like, really? So I called them on Instagram. I FaceTimed them. I emailed them. I sent them a message on YouTube. I kept doing this for 5 months. This woman never called me. I kept calling a direct message. I sent my resume. I redid my sentence of who I am. I just kept doing it from October of last year. I got a call. I was taking a nap. It was February. I got a call, 7 p.m. I looked at it, and I don't pick up numbers I don't know, all right? It turns out it's this woman. She goes, oh, we're doing this webinar. Would you like to talk? I was speechless. I'm like, I've been chasing these people for like months. And then she says, we're going to do a tour, fertility tour in March. We'd like to swing by. And then we'd like to do the raffle where we give it one for IVF in summer. And I'm just sitting, okay, somebody pinch me. Somebody just knocked me over the head. And how did it start? I listened to Dr. Una, and I barged in on the conference that they did not invite me to. And they invited me after that. And one thing led to another.
Okay,
Guys,
so now if you were here at the beginning, when I started talking about who the school is ideal for, Dr. Oluyemisi in the last how many ever minutes has just demonstrated that. Okay, because this is somebody who's been in practice for 26 years, but is so coachable. Like, oh, is this what we do now? Okay, let me do that. Is this what we do now? Let me do that. Do you guys see that? Like, this is, I'm coachable, I'm committed, I'm doing the work, right? I'm living in discomfort, I'm asking for help, I'm engaging with the program. Is all of that. Like, she literally said what I said, but with her story. Okay, be nice, people. Let's throw up some emojis. Show her some love.
Thank you.
Some love. Thank you for sharing your story. That was so cool. I hadn't heard all of that. So this is good. Okay, show her some love. Show her some love in the chat.
Thank
Show her
you.
some love
Thank
in
you.
the chat. Hi, Dr. C, right? Okay. Okay, so cool. Thank you for sharing that. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So if you're like, tell me about EBS. This is who your classmate is going to be. This is the person you're going to meet in the success group and say, so tell me all the things, right? So amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So now, if you have not turned in an application, remember what I said, the application is not designed to keep you out. The application is designed to say, okay, this is a fit, this is where it should be. If it's like, I'm not really sure, and we're like, yeah, maybe we should do something else first, we will direct you there. It's all about serving. It's entremd.com/business. Okay. Okay. So now you can see that Dr. Oluyemisi, even though she's been in business all this time, she showed up with the beginner's mindset. So if you're wondering, I'm just starting, there are many people who are just starting. There are many people who are established, but for the first time are actually building out the business system, right? And so if you're just starting, this is as long as you're ready to do the work, you're not ready to do the work, it doesn't matter that you're just starting. So many people in this school just started. She talked about Dr. Rachel Rubin that actually inspired her to join the school. Dr. Rachel Rubin did not have a practice when she started, right? A lot of these people did not have businesses, okay? I'm afraid I won't do well. Okay, so doing well is a decision, but if you're afraid from the standpoint of, I don't think I have the capacity, you're a doctor, so let me talk to you and directly to you. We exist in a system that has convinced us that we're no good at entrepreneurship. One of the things that I have fought for the last 4 years is that mindset that we're not good enough. You heard Dr. Oluyemisi say, I'm one of them. Like, whoever is doing that, I can do that too. Because guess what? The thing about business is that it's not, it's an art, but like what we did in medicine, it has algorithms, it has checklists, it has blueprints, it has frameworks, right? And if there is anything you are good at as a physician, you are great at learning. You are amazing at learning. If there's anything you haven't been able to do, you can learn to do them. The things you learned in medicine are so much harder than the things you need to learn to be an entrepreneur. And so I want to invite you to walk away from that fear. Like, I'm afraid I won't do well. The person who will come in and not do well is a person who doesn't want to do the work. Like, why do I have to do the work, right? Some people are in resistance, like the business is just going to work. It doesn't work that way. You're going to work. But that's the reason why we built a container where you get coaching, where you get accountability, where you get community, so you can do the work, right? So if your decision is, I'm not going to do the work, I just want to get in there and things will happen. If that's the case, then chances are you're not going to do well, regardless, right? But if you're deciding this is what I want to do and I'm going to do the work, then you're golden. You're golden. Okay. So, some people come in and like, I don't want to make the investment and fail. So when you think about when you went to medical school, and I use our medical training because it was phenomenal. It produced physicians, right? Okay. So when you think about what you did in medical school, you invested and you kept your eyes on the price, right? You invested and you kept your eyes on the price. If you keep your eyes on the investment, there's no amount of looking at the investment that produces the result, right? The reason, because you didn't invest to invest, you invested for a reason. You invested because, okay, I want to finally launch my business and get it to 6 figures. You invested because you're like, I've had this business for a number of years. I want to take this to 7 figures. There's a reason you invested. Your job is to invest, keep your eyes on the price, and do the work to get there. Because some people come in and they're like, I want to recoup my investment in 30 days. And there are people who recouped in 30 days. There are people who, they even got a bonus and got access to the vault before school actually started, and they recouped their investment before they started. We've had all of those kind of things, but they didn't do it by focusing on, I want to make back my investment. They did it by focusing on what their vision was, what their goal was, right? So you hear Dr. Oluyemisi, she's building this egg bank. She's bringing all these people in. She wants to build the systems. She wants to create a business that gives her financial and time freedom. And that, if you listen to her talk, she has not once mentioned the investment in the business school, because that is not her focus. Her focus is, I am going to get this result, right? So you make your investment, you keep your eyes on the prize, you do the work to get to the prize. Okay. So that's the way to think about it. That's the way to think about it. That's what we did in medical school. That's what we do in business school. Okay. I'm not really, okay. So this is a great question. I'm not really sure what I want to do. Can the business school help me? There are many people who started off who didn't know what they wanted to do. They're in the school. Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown, she was interviewed yesterday. Again, if you didn't get to watch the interview, the link is in your email, right? Like for all the replays, she just knew there was more. And the reason why I love people who don't even know what they want to do, because sometimes people are like, at your stage of business, you shouldn't do all of that. Just work with people who are building all these $1 million. I'm like, yeah, great. The reason I understand that, because that was me. Like I had a private practice. My private practice was working. I was working 4 days a week. The money was good. Everything was good. I just knew that the landscape was changing so rapidly and I could not stay in that state. I knew there was more. I didn't know what more was. Okay. But every physician has a business to start with. Your personal physician brand. So Dr. Una Incorporated is my first business. Okay. So if you're not sure what you want to do, but there's more and you're committed to walking the path to uncover what more is, then you come in owning your business, which is Dr. U Incorporated. So when it's time to do the homework, when it's time to build the brand, when it's time to do the lives, get some podcasts, all of that, you can do that starting with your brand as you figure out what the other things are. A lot of people in the business school will start off thinking they will only own one business or this business will be their final business. But as the school continues to age, what you'll see is that people start owning multiple businesses, right? But your personal brand is that overarching thing. So if you're willing to own your personal brand as your business, you come in, you're doing the work, you'll be surprised. So Dr. Funke came in not knowing. Dr. Funke has been flown out by Baby Center to do courses, to create courses for them, which they paid her for. She's spoken on their stages, which they paid her for. She's spoken, she was on ABC News the other day. She's coached clients. She's got lots of paid speaking. She started off not knowing. But the thing is, if you don't come into the school and you don't do anything about it, how are you going to find out? Do you see what I mean? Like this is the vehicle where you do that. And you get to be in a community with over 100 physicians who are all doing different things. It's like a buffet. I could think of maybe that, maybe that, maybe that. Like literally, that's what you get to do because you're exposed to all of that. Okay. Let's see. I've been in business for years and I have specialized challenges like staffing and building systems. Can the school help me? So the answer to that is yes. I will say for you, for sure, you definitely want to book a call. You want to fill out the application because it depends on the stage where you are. If there's still the revenue confidence piece that's needed, then the school like EBS Grow is exactly what you need. But if you need something that is more specialized, Makita still has something for you. So like I'm saying, if you're on this call for a reason, you're here for a reason. If you're on this call, you should also have an application in, right? Because again, the application is not a legally binding document. We're not going to take you to court and say you fill the application and you're not in the school, okay? Having said that, we will be able to help you make the decisions. And if there's something else that we should be doing, we'll direct you to it. Again, we're committed to helping you. Okay, so fill out your application, especially if that's you. So I was about to say ebs.com, EntreMD.com/business. Let's see. Dr. Oluyemisi says, if you want to guarantee your longevity, join. Love it. Dr. Michelle says, I'm embracing discomfort. Dr. Palmer says, discomfort is my middle name. Love it. Okay, let me make sure. Do I have any other questions? Okay. Does the business school help people like me who have an idea about a business that I would like to start but haven't acted on? Or is it for those who have active established businesses? No, even if you're onshore, okay, even if you're onshore, you definitely want to apply. Okay, because we can help. Okay, so like I said, there are many. Dr. Funke didn't know. There are many of them that didn't know. There are even many doctors who are like, I want to keep my job, but I want to build my personal brand, right? Okay, but the thing that we will help you do though is we want you to hit the ground running, right? So even if you're unsure, but we can determine that in the first 30 days you're in the school, we'll do that. But if you're not at that point, right, we're going to start right away with your personal brand. Because the thing is this, the more you hear, if you heard that from Dr. Oluyemisi's story, the more action you take, the more doors open, the more action, you know what I mean? So what we will do is make sure that no matter what, you are in momentum, right? That is something that we're going to drive because we want you getting results. All right. Does the business school teach very basic things like reading a profit and loss statement, balance sheet, discussing tax strategies? Okay. So from a legal, not a legal side, well, it would not make sense for me to discuss tax strategies from a tax perspective. Now, do we talk about reducing tax liability and all that stuff? We do that, right? But the thing is, we're going to help you generate the profit for the profit and loss statement and all of those things. And then we have, when it comes to the accounting things, that's something you want to have an accountant for. Okay. So we're not going to pretend that we're going to teach you accounting things, because as you build a business, that's a little complex because you have your personal taxes, you have depends on the structure of your business and all of those things. And so we even have a tax strategist, Dr. MC, this will be news to you, but we have a tax strategist who should be coming in a few weeks or so. So for that, we would bring in experts to have conversations, and then you definitely want to have an accountant for that. So that's not something you want to wing. Yeah. Not especially if you're building a big business. Success groups are part of the program. So the success groups, those happen weekly. They're for an hour. And it's working on your business. It's not a conversation thing, right? Like, so we get the direction, boom, we're working, right? So there's so many wins that come out of that because it's implementation. You have your weekly sessions, 99.9% of them are with me. And that's in a group setting. That's part of the program. Your book of the month, we don't buy the book, but we strategically pick the books that the business school students need to move to the next level. So you get that's part of it. And then the private Facebook community, which is like liquid gold. Okay, so those are all part of the program. Let's see. Did I get everybody? Okay. All right. So again, if you haven't turned in your application, EntreMD.com/business. Bakita, if you had any other questions, you can post that there, post that in the chat. Oh, this is a good question. Is the private community different from the different than the EntreMD Facebook community? Yes. It is so different. It is a magical place. Okay, so there is a private Facebook community that is specifically for the doctors in the EntreMD Business School. So it is less than 10% of the size of the general group, but it's 10 times more active. And yeah, so yeah, it is very different. And the thing about that place is, it is a place where doctors will come and share their wins. And the doctors are so vulnerable and generous, right? Where they'll tell you, oh, we just surpassed our 2022 revenue. We're like 8 weeks into the year. They'll come and tell you, I just crossed the $1 million mark. They'll tell you, I just got 3 new clients from whatever I did in my success group. And so they will share their wins, they share numbers, they share the thing is, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So they share life. Like, I got to take, 4 weeks off. I bought my dream home. Like, I cannot explain. I wish I could take you on a tour, but it's such a sacred place that that's why you don't see screenshots from the EntreMD Business School Facebook group, because it's just so sacred, really, for want of a better word to describe it. So they share all their wins, but they share their trials as well. This is what is going on in my home, and that's why it's hard for me to, do what I need to do for my business. What do I need to do? Like when something in their business didn't go according to plan, when they did a launch and it didn't go as well, and stuff like that. Like, they'll come and do full debriefs. The vulnerability in the group is ridiculous. And then it's a place where people ask questions. And there's people ask questions like, I'm about to hire my COO. Okay, so what do I need to know for that? How do I stream from Zoom to Facebook? It's all there. And there's nothing like a stupid question. So you have these really high level questions, you have these beginner questions. Well, I can't even call them beginner questions. You have these other questions, but they're all there. So it's very different. It's not the regular or general EntreMD Facebook community at all. There's a community specifically for the business school. And sometimes I'll pop on there and do live, Facebook lives and stuff on Sunday, get everybody in check. And there's a lot of prompts that I do, like when I notice trends that people are struggling with this, and then I go on, I'll put it there. If there's something I did in my business that worked, I'll go and post it there. And I share my numbers with them, right? Like, so I remember when, EntreMD, for EntreMD, I believe that I'm a vision board. Okay. I believe I'm a vision board in the sense that I am living my life out loud so doctors can see that and say, wait, that's possible. You know what I mean? And so this was 2021, I think. We set a goal like we're going to do $1 million in revenue. And I was like, so that doctors can believe that they can do this, right? And so we did that. And the second we hit it, I came to the school. I was like, okay, we hit it. This is how we did it. And I literally took them behind the scenes, told them, when we set the goal, how we struggled to figure out the strategy. Then we figured out the strategy, what we implemented, the roadblocks we had, the mistakes we made. Like I just came there and just strategy vomited on everybody. I'm like, this is what we did. I'm happy to answer any questions. So that, so that's what happens in that community. Okay. And even the doctors who are there, when they have wins, they'll say, okay, I closed 13 people in my launch. Then they're like, this is what I did. This is what worked. This is what I'll do the next time. They do full debriefs, right? Of all these things. So it's to be honest with you, if I said we didn't have the EntreMD Business School, we had the EntreMD network, the EntreMD private network, it would be worth the tuition of the school. Just the network, just the people. It would be 1,000 times. It would be worth it. And so that right there is wonderful. Yeah. So even when we hit the Inc. 5,000, I'm like, guys, hey, we did it. This is what we did. Like that's the way that happens. When we got 1,000 people registered for EntreMD Live, I kept hitting. Makita, remember, we kept pushing and pushing until the morning of. So 10 a.m. when it was about to start, boom, we hit 1,000 people. What do you think I did after EntreMD Live? I came back. I'm like, okay, guys, this is how we put 1,000 people into EntreMD Live. And when you join the school, for those of you who are going to join, when you join the school, you have access to, they're all there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is what we did. This is exactly how we did it. It's all there. Yeah. So I live out loud, very loud there, because that's why I do what I do. It's for the doctors. Yeah. Okay. All right. Applications, turn those in. I'm just gonna give maybe another minute. If there are any other questions, I will take those. If there are any other questions, I'll take those. You can post them in the chat. But if you're afraid, yeah, when you join the school, every single session from July of 2020, you have access to all. The fun piece of it. This is what happens in the school. EntreMD.com/success. You change the link. Okay, this is the thing. The people. So what comes up also is this concept of, I don't think I can be in the school. Everybody in the school is a rock star, right? But the thing is this, everybody started from the exact point where you are. Like when you join the school, right? And you start watching some of the old sessions, the people you see as rock stars, you see them crying like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, I'm telling you, and you be like, what? Right? And you realize, oh, okay, I'm good. Like, really, you're good. You're good. So if you're feeling like they're unicorns, I can't be like Dr. Oluyemisi. Dr. Oluyemisi is like, come on, you heard her say, I'm one of them, right? So you can say that too, I'm one of them, because you are, and you will be treated that way, like one of them, okay? So if that's something that's holding you back, I'm going to invite you to not let that hold you back, because we're burning daylights. We have one life. We have one life. We have one life. And, I think in 5 years, what we're doing now would be normalized. the reason why I promote what I do so much is that I know that there are going to be people who are early adopters. I know there are people who are going to be the ones who set the stage for what is going to come. And I want you to be one of them. Like, I really do. In the last 48 hours, we have had, a doctor we're celebrating who has her own TV show. We have another doctor. Saw Dr. Funkel that she was like, I killed it on stage. You know what I mean? Like she rocked that stage. We had a doctor who applied, got a TED talk. We had multiple, I think I'm at 7 now, multiple people in the school who have surpassed their 2022 revenue. We are in March. We're not even done with Q1, right? Dr. Signorelli, I can say this because she posted in the Facebook group, and she's like, like in the first 90 days, I made my return, I made my investment back. And then she said, the goal that I had as the lifetime goal of my business is now my 2-year goal. I want you to think about the ridiculousness of that, right? Because that's something that's going to happen to you in EBS. Your goal becomes a moving target because you set that goal based on what you thought was possible. But when you come in, you're like, wait a minute, there are other things that are possible, right? And so the question is, if you don't do this, what are you going to do? That's a question to answer. Like, if you don't do this, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to make your dreams a reality? What are you going to do to start that profitable businesses? What are you going to do to not be a statistic in the physician community? What are you going to do to get out of cruise control in your business? What are you going to do? So this is an opportunity, and I'm inviting you to take full advantage of it. Full advantage of it. Because for the early adopters, they're going to be leading the charge. They really are. Like, all the people you see now, they think they're getting wins. I chuckle because they haven't seen what is coming. I know. They haven't seen what is coming. And so I'm so excited. Sometimes people are like, why is she so excited? Because I know it's coming. Okay. Dr. Yemisi says, I'm going to give a TED talk this summer. Yeah. Like, I aspire. Okay. Dr. Ndidi says, I'm an employed physician in academia. How will the business school help me? There are a number of ways. And one of the things we do is we don't prescribe one way. So it's like a buffet, right? And so there are a number of ways. One is that, first of all, the thing that you would be working on would be your personal brand. There are people in the school who are entrepreneurs. And so they think like entrepreneurs, they act like entrepreneurs, but they work jobs. And what that means is the things that no longer serve them, their bosses, they negotiate and they say no, right? Like, they choose to live life on their terms. Many of them in academic institutions negotiated for 4-day work weeks and left their pay, and their pay was left the same because they negotiate like bosses. They've negotiated for scribes. In fact, there was one doc that they came to her institution and said, we're cutting every doctor's salary by 10%. That's what we're doing. She negotiated for the entire physician community in her hospital. And she won. And everybody's salary stayed the same, right? And so you may choose that I love what I do. I don't want to give up what I do. I want to be, this is what I want to do. There's somebody else. What she did is, what she did was linked to a private practice, if you will, like within academia. And she had built this brand and she was out doing media and doing all of these things, so much so that 80% of the new patients were coming because of her. Like, I listened to her on the radio. I found her, and so it put her in a position to negotiate. Do you see what I mean? Because she understands how to affect the bottom line because she's an entrepreneur here, right? Some other people have gone on, they've decided to be coaches or consultants. They've decided to build platforms that can be monetized, like a podcast and things like that. So it really depends on what you want. Because for me, I'm like, in med school, they told us what to do. In residency, they told us what to do. When you're an entrepreneur, you get to choose what you want to do, right? So there are many ways. It depends on what most aligns with your value. right? But there are many ways to do that. And I think when we pulled up the data, about 7% of the doctors in the school are entrepreneurs. Like they're working full time, and that's what they want to do. But they're bringing those business skills, so they're functioning as entrepreneurs within an employed setting, within an academic setting. So there's so many ways to do that. Paid speaking, the whole nine yards. Yeah, Dr. Funke, we talked about. She's in academia, so yeah. So I hope that answers your question. If you have a follow-up question, I'm happy to answer that. But my mentality is every physician is an entrepreneur. You may not be working your business, but every physician is an entrepreneur. When we said we will just see the patients and they'll take care of everything else, that is what created this mess we're in, because we gave up our power, we gave up our brands, we gave all of that up. We can't afford to do that. That's too expensive. Look at what it's done, right? So the least we can do, even if you're like, I don't know what my business is, own your brand, negotiate like a boss. There are people we checked, like how, like if you now work a 4-day work week and they kept your pay the same, some people that's $80,000 extra, right? Like, so even if it doesn't show up as business revenue, that's what they did. Then they're doing paid speaking and all of those things, which they get paid for. So there's so many ways to do that, so many. But every physician should own their brand. Nobody's going to we know nobody's going to look out for us. That's our job. 1,000%. Okay. Any more questions? Or this was just so good? You can tell me in the chat. This was so good, Dr. Una. I don't have questions. Let me know. Give me some energy. Talk to me. Let's see. Dr. Reed from Hawaii. She's like, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Reed. Dr. Reed, I look forward to seeing you in the school. Maybe we'll do an EBS retreat in Hawaii. Yeah, we will do that in Hawaii. Okay. All right. So everyone, turn your applications in. Again, nobody's going to strong arm you. Everybody who's been on a call will tell you, oh, it was such a great conversation with Makita. We're here to serve. Okay. All right. So, but what I will leave you with is this: do not decide. Right? You should walk away from this making a decision. Absolutely not. Okay. If you can't get to that decision, get on a call. Just get on a call. We'll help you get to that decision. My mentor said that indecision is a form of abuse. You can be undecided for 2 years, or you could decide now. Someone may say, well, I just need time to think about it. Well, think about it. In time, you're not going to get more information or more clarity or whatever, right? You need information. So if you're thinking about it, the right way to think about it would be to make a call so you can get your questions answered, you can get the clarity so you make a decision. But there's nobody here who's 20, right? Like, we're burning daylight. Time is a gift. Okay. So EntreMD.com/business. Okay. Fill out an application. Nobody's judging you. It's not a quiz. Okay. We're truthfully here to serve. We want to help. If there are things that are questions and all that, you can put that on the application. We will review it. We'll get on a call with you. We'll help you make the decision. You've seen me for the last, 6 days. You've seen Makita do her thing the entire time. We're not a high pressure, you must, and we'll strong arm you and make you feel guilty kind of stuff. That's not what we do. We serve physicians. We don't do that. Okay. All right. So turn in your application. Shout out to some of the docs who are already in the school. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to introduce you to the school. Makita and I were just finishing off our new version of our orientation. So on day 1, you are going to get like all the things you need to get to thrive. Day 2, you're going to be with me. We're going to work your 90-day plan, because what we want you to do is create monster wins in the first 90 days in the business school, where you're like, oh my goodness, if this could happen in 90 days, right? And on the 3rd day, you're going to have a virtual welcome party. Okay. Like, it's going to be so good. So we're already working on that. It's going to start Wednesday next week. So we want to give you this great experience So I can't wait, to welcome you to the school, to introduce you to your classmates. You get classmates like Dr. Oluyemisi, and you're like, okay, let's continue that conversation you had, you were having with us on Saturday, that Saturday. Okay. So thank you guys. Fill out your applications. Can't wait to welcome you. If you have questions, again, you can go and book a call. We will answer them. Okay. But we want you to make the absolute best decision for you and for your business. Okay. And then we'll see you in the school. So good. All right. And thank you, Dr. Oluyemisi, for your impromptu share. That was so good. So good. All right. Good night, everybody.